If you could only eat two foods for the rest of your life, what would they be?
I will probably say two of my favorite foods are rice and pasta.
What is your favorite place in the world and why?
I love Paris. I love the noise. I love the architecture. I love the sights. I love the sounds. I love the food. I like the music. I like the monuments. I like the art galleries. I just loved Paris. I even liked the lights.
If you could go back and visit any time period, which would you visit?
I took a course in film and literature of the 1980s mostly and some of the 90s. And although I was a child in the 80s, I think I would like to go back and live through parts of it, at least as a little bit of an historian or a journalist or somebody just kind of participate and observe the 1980s from an adult perspective. There were enough interesting things that happened that I studied and read about and remember, and I'd like it through the eyes or the lens of an adult.
What are two truths and a lie about yourself?
I am 40. I have two young children, and I really, really like to ski.
Is intelligence or wisdom more useful?
I don't think I can tell the difference. I think I translate both when I read words in other languages pretty similarly. I'd have to really think about that one to distinguish. Interesting question, though.
What is the proudest a student has ever made you?
Someone emailed me last week. She was an AP student about 3 years ago. She took class as an independent study. And like some students, she comes back and she visited or she said hi a few times after she graduated. She made the best chocolate covered pretzels every holiday. But even though it wasn't a holiday, she brought some back for me. But last year, when she got into the pre med honors program she wanted, she told me she started taking Greek simply because she remembers a story I told in class one day that knowing what a word means or knowing what word roots of words mean, whether it's English, Latin, Greek, or something else, can make it easy to look at a word and understand what it means rather than having to memorize it like a definition. And I gave an example of helping out my college classmates who were pre-med with their vocabulary, with all of their anatomy, because I knew what a lot of the root words meant. And even if I didn't, I learned them very quickly. And so I was able to help them study, even though I wasn't a biology major. And she told me that she started taking Greek just to help her vocabulary for that exact reason. And that really impressed me that she listened to something I considered a little anecdote to try to help my students think about words in a different way than just, definitions on a flashcard. And she actually did something about it.
What is the biggest waste of human potential?
I really like the structure and organization of high school. I think I transitioned okay to college, although parts of my first semester were really confusing for me. But I remember some college classmates, I remember some high school classmates who both failed and succeeded when I thought they would do the complete opposite because high school was so scheduled and so organized and so um, hyper structured that they weren't able to succeed that way. But as soon as they got to university and they had the freedom and flexibility to go to classes, to do their work on their own pace, in their own way, they became incredibly able to succeed. And I wish there are different kinds of personality tests. And I wish maybe there was one to tell what strength the student may or may not have, because then students could, not be C or B students, but they could be exceptional students, in college and graduate school. A classmate of mine through middle school and high school did fine, graduated, but he did a bachelor's, a master's, and a law degree all in 7 years. Um, and it's supposed to take 4 years to do college and 3 years to do law school. And I think he managed to do all three of them in the time it takes to do two. So he really impressed me because he wasn't the top student in any of our classes, but he was really able and really successful.
What is a talent or skill that most people at Freedom don't know that you have?
I used to sing. I don't know if it's a talent, but I used to sing and I wasn't terrible at it. Maybe that's a talent. I used to take art classes. I don't think I've ever shown anyone a painting I've made, but it's halfway believable.
What is something you believed early in your career but think differently now?
What kind of tests and quizzes I need to give? I do more take-home work. I do more group work. I used to give a lot of unit tests, and I stopped giving unit tests. So then I started giving more quizzes. And then I just started taking the name quiz off of things and just saying, here's an assessment. Show me what skills you still have and show me what content you still know. It doesn't matter always what I call it. It's just a grade in an electronic book.
What is something you believed earlier in your career that is still true?
I enjoy those moments outside of those 40 minutes or those 80 minutes when I can listen to students or talk to students, whether it's in a dorm room or my office or two desks in a classroom where students aren't 100% focused on what I'm trying to teach them and what they think they're trying to learn, but just being a person.
If you wrote a book, what would it be about?
My mother always told us funny stories about her students and the tricks she used to try to teach students geography in particular. I think I would write a book like a top 10, more than a top 10, but a list of funny things students have said or funny questions students have asked.
Dunkin' or Starbucks?
They both have really good iced tea, but I think I like the hash browns at Dunkin' better.
What's the best thing that happened to you today?
The sun came out. It was so gray a couple hours ago, and now I can see clouds and sky, and I can take a walk at lunch.
What's the worst thing that happened to you today?
I didn't get to sleep in late.
What are 3 things you can't live without?
I usually have ice water somewhere or iced tea somewhere within reaching distance. I have a lot more prescriptions in my medicine cabinet now than I did 10 years ago, so maybe I have to take my medicine cabinet, really cold water with me, and I have a really, really, really comfortable pair of very old flip-flops. So if I'm going to live on a desert island, maybe I need those things.
What is your favorite book of all time?
I don't know that I have one absolute favorite book, but it's a book I've reread so many times, and it's the same movie that it's answered earlier to your question. It's called Dune by Frank Herbert. If I'm going to, sit down over a break, it's probably one of the top 3 or 4 books I'm willing to reread.
What's the best way a person can spend their time?
For me, I would say sitting outside, having lunch or dinner with a friend.
If all the people in the world could be condensed into 2 types, what would they be?
I'm going to guess, in conversation at least, listeners and talkers.
Cheez-Its or Goldfish?
How can I pick? They're both so good. I'm going to take both with me.
What's the most annoying question people ask you?
My students make me laugh because I've started saying, excuse me. And I've noticed a couple of my students say, oh, excuse me. They mean excuse me, but the students like to say, oh, wait. Maybe that's the most annoying question. I have no idea.
How would you define yourself in 3 words?
I'd like to say I'm literate because that's one of my hobbies. Another teacher recently called me experienced, and I think he meant it half as a joke, but half not. So I'll take that. And I think in conversations, I like to listen to other people. So maybe, at least I hope I do, I'd call myself a listener.
What is the best thing that has ever happened to you?
Actually, I think the job I have at Freedom was one of the most exciting one of the most exciting things in the last 10 years. I really wanted this job and I got it.
Imagine you've been given an elephant. You can't sell it, kill it, or get rid of it in any other way. What do you do with it?
Maybe I ride it around town on really nice fall afternoons.
If you could only listen to one song on repeat constantly for the rest of your life for every single waking hour, what song would it be?
I don't know if I can pick a single song, but I could definitely pick an album. It's just the soundtrack to a movie called Last of the Mohicans. It just got really beautiful instrumental with lots of strings in it.
What animal would you want to be reincarnated as?
Maybe a dolphin or a falcon.
What is something you think everybody should do at least once in their life?
How about sit on the beach and watch a sunset or a sunrise?
What question would you most like to know the answer to?
How am I going to die?
What is one action you took that improved the overall quality of your life?
I guess if somebody asked my doctor, maybe he'd say skipping breakfasts some days.
Summer or winter?
Probably winter.
What is the best day of the whole year?
The first day I get to the pool or the beach in the summer.
Are you more of a morning person or a night owl?
I still wake up early in the morning because I used to go to my office early, so I tend to get sleepy at night. I'm probably much more of an afternoon person. It's when I'm most awake and alert and super productive.
What are you looking forward to this school year?
I think I'm looking forward to either mid-semester or end of the year because I want to look back and see how we did. I want to see how effectively we taught and learned this year.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
People who drive slower in the left lane and never change lanes or pass cars.
What's your lucky number?
I don't think I have one, so I'll guess the number 11.
Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
I'd probably run away.
What's your favorite smell or scent?
My father planted 2 flowers around our house, and it's either roses or lilacs.
What is the meaning of life?
Oh, I have no idea. I studied philosophy in college and got tired of it after maybe one semester. I definitely have no clue about the meaning of life. Still scratching my head on that one, Karen. Sorry.
And finally, who do you want to do 73 questions next?
Because she always has funny answers when I ask her serious questions. How about Ms. Spears?